I don't think a lot of people realise quite how violent it can be between prisoners, towards prison officers. You know, the level of violence is something I don't think even I was ready for. And not long.
And you're ex-military, so you were used to violence.
Yeah, I guess it's a different kind of violence. It's a different level. I've been out fighting like in my 20s nearly every night in Germany as a soldier, but this is different. The level of violence and the feeling and the adrenaline that you get, it's almost addictive. And I'm sure as we get into the stories, you'll see that feeling's almost addictive. And I hadn't been in the service long when a new wing had opened, a big wing. They'd started building these huge wings, 200 plus prisoners. The smaller wings, I think, had 90 on. Now I'm trying to recall some stuff, so I can't remember exact numbers, but it was around that. There were big wings, and I was working in the segregation unit at the time. So that's a prison within a prison.
That's like lockdown for the American viewers.
Yeah. So it's 23 hours behind your door, 2 doors to get into the unit. So it was a pretty secure place. And the alarm bells would go off. So when you're in a prison, alarm bell goes off, everybody comes running. Everybody heads to where that alarm bell is going off because you just never know what's going to happen. And a lot of the time you get halfway there and they'll stand you down. But the alarm bell goes off, staff assistants on K-Wing. And we went belting down there. And the seg wasn't that far from K-Wing, so it wasn't a huge run, but you had to go on an outside corridor. And when we got there, I was met with something that I had never seen or been involved in my life, and it was a wing full of prisoners, and not every single one, but not just 1 or 2 fighting, 15, 20 prisoners absolutely raging. I mean, they called it a concerted indiscipline. It wasn't a riot, but it was as close as I ever come to being involved in a riot.
Do you know the backstory as to how the prisoners kicked off? So
the wing was new, and it had been opened and set up, and it was a kind of a pilot for this size wing, and there was always tensions on wings. No matter where you went, there was always tensions, but this was a new big wing, and it was a drug treatment wing. So that's where the methadone and the Subutex was given out to prisoners. And I think there was a lot of newer officers on there. It was run by newly promoted senior officers. So there wasn't a great deal of discipline on there. And what happens is on the drug treatment wings, people think that you say drug treatment wings, they're down there. All these addicts, these poor addicts that were going to try and detox. That's not what the prison service was like. Some of them were. I'm not saying everyone that was trying to detox, but a lot of it was going in, getting their substances, cheeking them, so hiding it in their cheeks. Cotton wool, we've seen this one, cotton wool in their throat, so when they drink the methadone, it soaks it up, and then they regurgitate, squeeze it out, and then they sell that. So it was a lot of tensions between different gangs, different people dealing drugs, and it had just come to a huge head. And we ran onto that wing, and I wasn't very often frightened in the prison service. You didn't have time to be frightened, but I remember thinking, this is a bad situation here.
So when you say it's come to a head, what do you mean?
So they're essentially, so what would have happened is somebody hasn't paid for their Subutex, and someone's gone into the cell, and because the wings are so big, you'll have different little factions on the wing. So you'll have, and it does come down to race. You know, you do have like your black gangs, your white gangs, your Nottingham gangs, your Birmingham gangs. You might have 2 Birmingham gangs. I think the Birmingham gangs are the Burger Bar Boys and the Johnsons at the time. You might have 2 different aspects on one wing. And again, I can't recall exactly what gangs it was, but it would have been down to the fact that somebody owed someone had gone in and either, I don't think it was a pot in, I think it was a pool ball, lobbed across, watch this, straight across, hit somebody in the head. And before you know it, 2 gangs are just going hell for leather on the wing. And then what happens is you send screws down there, and that's going to calm it down. A load of screws running into a big riot. Suddenly you've got 2 gangs that all want to fight the screws. And I remember being on spur 2 of the wing, and one of my colleagues was there, and this guy had got a pool cue and was ready to go. And he had pulled my colleague had pulled his his baton out. So there were extendable batons, racked it out, and they were stood toe to toe. And I remember I can't remember his name, a con come out his cell and shouted at the other con that had got the pull cue, and he put the pull cue down. And as quickly as it kicks off, it dies down. And then suddenly there's just a flood of screws because we've come from quite close and we've been quick. But then before you know it, 3, 4, 10, suddenly the wing's full and everybody just scatters. But yeah, pull balls getting thrown about, pull cues being brandished. You've always got to be aware that there's boiling water that could be about. So people up on the landings, throwing stuff down. Yeah, it was a scary time. I think that was the closest I've come to it being a riot, because you can go either way. It could have gone, all them screws have come on, that one person with a pull cue swings at a screw, and before you know it, you've lost the wing. Because for as many screws as you can get down there, you've got 200 prisoners. You know, that's not what keeps prisons running safe is the prisoners. If the prisoners want to take over, they're taking over.
If you're looking for a gift, my new book, Sit Downs with Gangsters, is available worldwide on Amazon. We've interviewed over 1,000 people now, and we selected 10 of the hardest hitting stories to go in this book. Each chapter features the story of one of our podcast guests. Those stories are Shane Taylor, Knife Maniac's Redemption; John Elite, Mafia Hitman for the Gambino crime family; Joey Barnett, 35 years in UK prison; Ian Blink MacDonald, £6 million bank robber; Chet Sandu, Asian smuggler in Spanish Supermax; John Lawson, the hit team commander; David Macmillan, international smugglers Thai death row prison escape; John Abbott, San Quentin prison shootouts and escape; Michael Francis, Colombo crime family capo portrayed in Goodfellas; and Wildman, English enforcer in Arizona prison. Link in description box on YouTube, available worldwide on Amazon. Also, my next book, Untouchable Jimmy Savile, is getting published in December 2023. So check that out as well. It will be available worldwide on Amazon. Thank you for listening. Cheers.
I kill you! A knife and a cosh and all that, like, yeah! And he's looking at me, and we went white, and then he was gone, like.
What is it about a tough guy that fascinates us?
Imagine I'm hearing that, I'm thinking, I'm not going down today. If I go down today, I'm dead.
We're bringing you the very best of our interviews with Britain's hardest men.
They made the mistake of bringing billy clubs, iron bars and knives to a gunfight.
No Rules Fighter Bash, Stephen the Devil French, and my best friend, Wildman. Over 2 hours of terrifying tales of punch-ups, stabbings.
That's what happens in that world. You leave people long enough, they get enough rope train themselves.
Attempted murders and exceptional all-round hardness. This film is available to rent or own on Amazon or Vimeo. Plus, the first 30 customers to order this film get a 30% discount on any Vimeo order. Click the link below to see if you're one of the lucky ones. This film will drop your jaw like a punch from the hard men we talk to. So why not order your copy today?